Hey guys, Funkymusic here. Another video, like I said I was going to do in the last video. I might wait to upload this one though. Meters. Let's talk about meters today. And the fact that these meters, people have a fixation on warming about these meters. It doesn't exactly give you a proper, I wouldn't say understanding, but so it doesn't give you the proper, doesn't tell you the whole story of what's going on. There's a lot of times where it's a druid, you're breaking off, you're rezzing people, and breaking off to res, if you're in the middle of especially if you're feral or if you're boomkin, maybe so much, not so much boomkin because you can get it off usually and still stay in your same eclipse. But feral, if you're going out to res, or especially if you have to run out and res, you're really talking about, it's quite a bit of a DPS loss, just doing that. So people, let me hide that real quick. People don't realize how much the meters, they sway, they move. This lock's doing great damage. Yeah, well, it's not always the case, you know. And the same thing goes for over here in the healing and absorbs. Then people get their big dicks all wet and shit, is where they see, the absorbs and Valinar Funky and stupid JOL, and they see Disc Priest. Look, if you guys want to see an actual, what we used to go off in retail was healing done. We'd go to absorbs for certain fights. Lich King was one of them. Our Resto Shaman, our GM, she had a Valinar, so she would keep up with me in BQL, but she used to until I got better gear. And then after that it was pretty much over. But yeah, people just, I don't get it. They go bananas over these meters, and these meters don't mean jack diddly. Look, at the end of the day, absorbs are bugged when it comes. It doesn't matter if you're putting them on roller logs, doesn't matter if you're using SCADA or recount, whatever you're using to track them, it's bugged. It does not accurately track it. Blizzard has said so when this, I remember when you can look it up. Blizzard has said they cannot accurately track absorbs. There's no accurate way to track them in game. Now, maybe they have since Wrath, but they never did. And they've always been guessed at. Everybody knows that absorbs are guessed at. They're not actually real. The full amount of it's not real. That's why if you look at something here and you upload it to World of Logs, things change a little bit. World of Logs kind of has it a little bit more accurately than what SCADA and recount can do. I'm not even sure you can track. Maybe I don't ever use recount. I haven't used it in years, but SCADA will. You'll see absorbs tend to go down when you upload them to World of Logs. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they go up, but they definitely change more so than pretty much anything else. So if you're comparing your SCADA logs to World of Logs or wherever you're uploading things, you should see a difference. But most noticeably in the absorb sections of whatever you're using to absorb, Valinar, Disc Priest, whatever. The other thing I want to talk about is Holy Paladins. Now, I kind of touched on this in the last video, and I really just wanted to get it out there with here. And the people who play Holy Paladins, look, we all do the same shit. Okay? We all do it. We all go and get hit rating because we want JOL on that meter. Is it wrong? Absolutely yes. Your Rets should be, your Rets or your tank or another Paladin, anybody but the fucking healer should be casting Judgment of Light. Why is this? Because they tend to have hit rating and you don't. They're melee, they're going to be up there doing damage anyways. They're going to be the ones casting it. This was widely accepted in retail. There wasn't a single Holy Paladin who would roll hit rating because it was all about min-maxing your stats. So they wanted the best stats possible. Whether that's intellect or haste for them at higher end pieces of gear. They're not so much spell power users as they are intellect and haste, because of the way things work with paladins, whereas druids and other like priests, spell power really is after we've hit all our caps, that's really where we're pumping everything into. Shamans as well, once they get a decent amount of haste, are going to go spell power. So yeah, it's ridiculous that any healer would ever have hit rating on them. That is an absolute myth. It's here to pad the stats. So when you guys see yourself getting destroyed by a Holy Paladin, and you look at the meters and you see Judgment of Light hitting for like 1,000,000, 1,000,005 damage, or healing rather, don't get stressed out. Don't worry about it. It's not something that's going to matter at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. It's them padding their stats. And any good GM, any good player in this game knows it's a stat padding thing. It's not something that anybody in the right mind would actually use when doing any kind of realm first, world first push in any of the games ever. Nobody ever would roll hit. You'd leave that up to your rets and your tanks to do that. Here on Warmane, though, people care about the meters. They live and die by the meters, which is absolutely ridiculous. There's a certain point where, yeah, you should be, if you're in 6K gear, you should be pulling, X amount of healing. And as you play and as you get to learn more, you're kind of going to realize, okay, this druid's in this gear, he should be pulling around here, on this fight or that fight, or this fight isn't really tailored for this character, or this healer or that healer or whatever. You kind of understand where healers should be, and on the meters, so that's all the meters really matter for. Comparing one class to the other, even though like Holy Priest and Resto Druid can kind of be compared because they're kind of similar in what they do in raid healing, they're not really applicable because they're two different classes. If you want to really figure out who's better on a meter, who's the best of this, best of that, I hate when people get bitched at because, that Resto Druid sucked, he was last on the meters. Yeah, dude, you were on Lich King, he's in like 5.8 gear, he's still gearing, and you're in, damn near Biss, and, that fight is not tailor-made for Resto Druid. Like, you have to cut him a break. It's not his fault. The fight is not, does not play to his strengths at all. It plays to all his weaknesses. So I hate that. People look at these meters on Warmane way too much. It's fine when you have, it's fine when you have, two warriors going at it, or two boomkins, or two rogues, or two, whatever. When you have two of the same class and those people are equally geared, or if they're closely geared, obviously, then you can, look at it and be like, oh, okay, this dude's better than this dude. But you can't compare the two when it's A, a different class, and B, there's so much things that are used for padding here on Warmane that is ridiculous. Especially on the healing side of things, that don't even really matter. Like I said, JOL doesn't really matter. Absorbs are bugged, they're guessed at, which are the top two things that you're going to see on the meters almost all the time. So just something to keep in mind for those of you who are... I know it used to be the server, whatever was the top healer on the server, everyone would start playing it. When priests were broke when I first came here, everybody on the server played priest. I was one, nobody was playing Resto Druid at the time. Then Resto Druid got broke and became super, super powerful. With Valinar, with the combination with Valinar, because of how Valinar was working at the time and how it broke. And then people found out that, let's go get hit rating and let's go just destroy the meters with hit rating on our JOL paladins. And then there's the people who play disc all the time. Look, guys, here's another thing. Here's another myth. Disc was only ever useful for one fight, and that was Lich King, because of the infest mechanic. People put too much faith in Disc because the absorbs are guessed at, and they do what they call damage mitigation. They're not actually healing the raid. They're not getting that person that's at 50% health back up to full. I mean, yeah, they can. They have spells. They use penance, flash heal, prayer mending, which I don't really count that, but they have heals that do healing, but that's not where they're effective at. Disc priests are effective at shielding and mitigating damage. However, their actual usefulness when it comes to healing the raid, which is the most important, getting everyone healed, not, mitigating damage. That's secondary in comparison to healing. Raw healing is more important than mitigation. Mitigation isn't going to save you. Healing will save you, The fact that they can get rid of the infest, they could get rid of a mechanic in the game with infest. I mean, there's no other mechanic that you could really sidestep, like that. That's really, believe me, infest is a bitch. So that's why they're so powerful. Nobody ever used them until Lich King. They would either make them go holy, or they'd make them go DPS spec, and then they just, hey, we need you to go disc for Lich King. I mean, that was literally all discs do. Now here on Warmane, discs are looked at better because they can pad the stats. The 30% buff plays to them better than it does play to any, or better than it plays to any other class. That 30% buff increases absorption and healing. Okay, well, we're already doing a lot of overhealing without the 30% buff. Okay, as a Resto Druid, it helps us on our rejuves for sure, and wild growth and things like that. But you're going to be doing a lot of overhealing anyways, especially even if you're a paladin. You're going to be topping the tanks off. You're going to be doing a lot of overhealing anyways. So the extra 30% healing really doesn't help a lot of classes. Like, it doesn't do a whole lot. However, if you're placing an absorb on there, you're going to get the full effect of the 30%. Like, there is no overheal with shielding. So you're going to get the full effect of that shield, that 30% buff, which is why you see discs and anything with an absorb do even better when the 30% buff is on, because they get they're going to get that 100% use of that 30%, whereas we're going to get maybe, a lot less percentage of that 30% in our usefulness, because we're going to be doing a lot of overhealing as it is. So we're not going to see that use, and even more so when our rejuves, without the buff, your rejuve may be ticking for, like, let's just say 3k. Now with the buff, you're ticking for what, 3,300, or whatever. You're going to be doing a lot more overhealing because you're healing more. That's just how it is. So people forget that as well. So I would have everyone in Warmane, please keep this in mind. If you're watching this video, if you plan on playing here, or if you're a veteran playing here, and you really think that the meters mean a whole lot, they don't really mean a whole lot. If you want them to mean something, you have to go head to head with another player who's equal of gear and skill, in all honesty. Because you're not going to learn anything by comparing, this holy paladin to this resto druid, or this disc priest to this shaman. You're not going to, that's not comparable. You can't compare two separate classes in two separate encounters where, the strength of one may be better than the strength of other. The other one may have more weaknesses or strengths, blah, 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 vice versa. You can't do that. And I'm amazed at the people who try to do that here on Warmane. I'm absolutely blown away by some of the guild leaders I've seen do it, officers I've seen do it, who actively compare the meters and act like the meters mean anything. Like, meters are just there for the fun of it. Unless you're going against head-to-head, or having a race, like me and Sasha did, or if you're going against another class. The meters are there for fun, for the most part. I mean, like I said before, the meters also will give you, hey, I know this druid's in, or this player, this ret paladin, or this boomkin, or this warrior, or this rogue is in a certain amount of gear. They should be, or here's where our rogues usually pull DPS. We got this new recruit. Where does he rank in DPS compared to our other two rogues that we currently have, or our other two rets that we currently, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to compare them with something to compare them to of their own class. Or you're going to think to yourself, hey, I know where this guy should be pulling damage with his gear or his healing, and he's nowhere near that. I've got another Resto Druid, or I've got another Holy Paladin, or another Disc Priest that's pulling, this week in and week out, and I know where, this guy ranks in comparison with him. Like, after time, you're going to be able to develop that. But other than that, meters are useless. They're just there for EPing status. That's literally what they're there for. Yeah, and I'll be like, yep, this guy sucks, that guy sucks. But when I say that, I try to be like, hey, you're in this gear and you're pulling that. Like, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Anywho, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully it got some people who have been thinking about meters all this time to get off the meter theory and really rethink the way you come across and talk to people, because meters don't mean a whole lot. Again, there are instances where it does, where you're going class v class, or comparing a person in their gear to what they should be doing, because you know that person A usually pulls this, and now your new recruit is pulling way below or way above that. Yeah. But yeah, meters are a joke, guys, and just want to get that out there and let you guys know. So, as always, have a good one, and we'll catch you later.